the nucleus, the cell, you know, the cell like the egg yolk. In the middle there's a cell, and in that cell there's your DNA. When we actually apply retinoic acid to our skin, it's actually modifying the cell DNA. So it's actually tricking the cell DNA. So it's basically telling the cells that, oh no, she's not 30, Jody is 15. The cell turnover rate is going to behave as if I am 15. I am still. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be talking about vitamin A. Vitamin A, that powerful ingredient that we're all using topically on our skin because we want it to maintain that young, plump, firm look. Alright, we're going to be talking about vitamin A because, you know, I've been using, I just started using vitamin A actually on my skin in 2019, 2020. So that's when I was like 29, which is very late to be using retinol or vitamin A retinoid. The reason why I took so long was because, you know, my skin was actually still going through its healing phase during that period, and it was in its best state, like in terms of like controlling acne and so forth, and I didn't really want to add anything to my skin that is going to eventually cause like a breakout or irritations or anything, because I wasn't really thinking to myself that I really need it. But now that, you know, we are fully in our early, very fresh new breed in the 30s world, I'm freshly here in my 30s, first year. This is actually my first year being 30. So yeah, it is getting intense. So I have to really make sure that my skin is maintained. I have to really make sure that I'm doing a good job at, you know, maintaining the youthfulness and the plumpness of my skin. All right, and now that I am fully exposed to the, you know, the environment, the natural, you know, the natural ability to actually see signs of aging, because I am naturally getting older. It's a part of my DNA, you know what I'm saying? Biologically, based on my age, I am supposed to age. Yeah, and it should show on my skin naturally. Well, not currently, but it should start now. Alright, so basically this is the reason why I really want to spend some time to talk about retinol. Vitamin A basically. So vitamin A is a nutrient that is actually found in our body, right? And how do we get these nutrients? We get these nutrients from the food that we eat. All right, so this is the reason why we are always encouraged to eat fruits and eat our vegetables, antioxidants, because they're rich in vitamin A, and vitamin A is very important for the body because it basically encourages the body to stay healthy, to stay strong. It encourages the bones to become strong, and it just encourage reproduction. You know what I'm saying? So it just maintains a healthy body like every other ingredient, but vitamin A especially works with the biological structure of your, you know, your body. It helps to fight against diseases, infections, and so forth. So we need it in our body. All right, but you know, after a period of time, when we touch 25 going into 29, 30, then our body naturally is going to slow down. You know what I'm saying? It's going to slow down because it's a part of our biological structure. We're supposed to age, as I mentioned before. All right? And the skin also, as a result, it ages because it is supposed to age because you're getting older. So when we were younger, our body used to like exfoliate, constantly reproduce fresh new skin like a baby. Like every day they produce new fresh skin, so they always look fresh and young. So our body naturally works overtime to exfoliate, to produce cells, create new cells, and the body is just working because you are still young and fresh. But as we age, all of those things, the body reduces. The body just literally, it just reduces over a period of time. Like the cell reproduction slows down a little bit, the skin reproducing new cells and cell turnover, it just slows down a little bit because we're getting older. So this is the reason why it is always encouraged to start incorporating retinol on the skin when you touch 25, those age. All right, some people might need it earlier and so forth because they've been exposed to the sun and just all the dangers of the external environment. So you can actually your skin can be forced into aging at a young age, mainly because of acne, just everything because of the external environment. But usually we should see signs of aging after like 25 and so forth. So yes, so this is the reason why we want to incorporate retinol or vitamin A retinoids in our skincare. All right, so basically sometimes, while I was thinking about retinol, I always wonder, which one should I buy? What should I buy? What should I get? And so forth. All right, so I'm just going to basically give you an idea of what are retinoids, retinol, tretinoin, retinoic acid, etc., etc., etc. All right, so basically vitamin A, or we call it, when we apply it on our skin, we call it retinoic acid. Retinoic acid is an ingredient that the body creates. So when you eat your vitamin A rich ingredients, when you eat vitamin A rich food, when it is consumed, the body actually transforms it or converts it into retinoic acid. And the retinoic acid is the cell, what do you say now? It's basically that ingredient that can actually transform the DNA, transform your biological structure, your cells. It can literally transform it and redefine it. You know what I'm saying? So this is the reason why it's such a powerful ingredient. Now, there are different kinds of retinol or retinoic acid. Basically, that is basically what retinoic acid is. Now, retinoid is a class of vitamin A. You know what I'm saying? So it's a class of vitamin A it is, some of them are natural and some of them are synthetic. Usually the retinol retinoids that we use on our skin are most likely synthetic, so they actually make it. All right, so that retinoid, it comes in various at various strengths. All right, so the tretinoin, that is a type of retinoid. As I said before, retinoid is a class of vitamin A chemical. All right, but tretinoin is a retinoic acid. So that is the literal retinoic acid. So with tretinoin, when it is applied to the skin quickly receives it and then it starts working immediately. All right, but because it's a high potency ingredient, it is not sold over the counter because of the side effects. You know what I'm saying? And instead of random people just buying the ingredient, using it and having adverse effects or multiple side effects, and then trying to sue like companies or sue doctors or whatever, they basically sell it through prescription. So the doctor will suggest or recommend based on your conditions. He will say, okay, so based on these conditions, maybe I can recommend retinoid or retinoic acid for you in the form of tretinoin. So when he recommends tretinoin for you, you're gonna be like, okay. He gives you all of the side effects. He tells you this might happen, and then you know, after you receive everything, you sign whatever because it's your doctor. If anything happens to you, you can directly sue the person. You know what I'm saying? You can't directly sue the person if you have adverse effect, because you already sign off to, you know, using the product and so forth. And you understand that it may have certain side effects. So, you know, just the what do you say now? Damages. Yeah, you can't like just randomly sue the man because you have a side effect, because you already signed off to, you know, possible side effects that you might get from the treatment. You know what I'm saying? So that is the reason why retinoic acid, which is tretinoin, is actually sold over the counter. All right, not over the counter, it's actually prescribed. All right, so that is like the strongest form of retinoic acid, and as I said before, it can work immediately. It can start working from like 3 to 4 weeks. You can immediately see results in 3 to 4 weeks, because it's very, very potent, very, very strong, and it has a higher, the risks are a little bit higher, side effects a little bit higher. All right, but you know, everybody's skin is different. Now let's talk about the over the counter retinoids. We have over the counter retinoids in the form of like retinol, like lots of companies sell retinol. But the thing with the retinol now, retinol is, when it is applied onto the skin, because it's a weaker form of retinoid or retinoic acid, it means it's not going to be as strong as, say, tretinoin, because it's a weaker form of retinoid. But that form of retinol, that form of retinol, I know that's a little bit confusing. That form of retinoid, which is retinol, when it is applied to the skin has to convert it to retinoic acid. All right, so you know that retinoic acid is the cell modifying ingredient. All right, the DNA modifying ingredient. So that's what we need when the skin receives it. In order for the cell to absorb it, it needs to be retinoic acid. But retinol is a form of vitamin A, or is a form of retinoid that needs to be converted to retinoic acid. So when it is applied to the skin, after it is converted, it needs to be stored in the skin first and then converted to retinoic acid. So that means it's going to be a little bit weaker. So the strength is not going to be as strong as, say, a retinoic acid like tretinoin. All right, so that is what you see people selling and you end up buying. Okay, yes, and you have various percentage. The higher the percentage, the more the risk. All right, but retinol has especially the one from The Ordinary, they have like the smallest percentage, 0.2%. It has the least amount of side effects or irritations. You know what I'm saying? So you will have moderate irritations, but it works just as good as tretinoin over a longer period of time, of course. All right, when you go up now to like 0.5, The Ordinary sells that too. The irritation is a little bit more. All right, so that's retinol. And you know, as you go higher, 1%, you have more irritations. All right, but it is working like tretinoin, but at a weaker rate or slower rate, because it has to be converted to retinoic acid. So you're not getting retinoic acid when you buy retinol. All right, it has to be converted, but that would mean that you get less irritation as opposed to using the direct retinoic acid, which is in the form of tretinoin. All right, now there is also another form of vitamin A, or form of retinoid, that is a less irritating, and that is called Granactive Retinoid. Granactive Retinoid is a less irritating. Actually, you probably won't get any irritations from using a Granactive Retinoid. All right, no irritations. So that retinoid is actually, it's not going to be converted. So Granactive Retinoid is not converted in any way, shape, or form. It doesn't have to be converted when you apply it to the skin. If it's not converted, it means that when you apply it to the skin, it automatically transforms or turns into retinoic acid. You know what I'm saying? So whatever percentage you're getting, whatever Granactive Retinoid percentage you're getting, it doesn't have to be converted. It automatically is. Yes, as I was saying, so it is said that Granactive Retinoid is more effective than, say, retinol. Why? Because it's not converted and it doesn't have the irritations that retinol would have. All right, so it's the newest, actually the newest technology when it comes to vitamin A or retinoids, basically. So Granactive Retinoid is, when applied to the skin, it turns into retinoic acid. All right, but as I said before, Granactive Retinoid is not prescription retinol or retinoid. It's not prescription retinoid. It's not tretinoin. So you're not gonna get the strength that tretinoin would give you. Okay, and also Granactive Retinoid is actually very it's not irritating on the skin whatsoever. Even maybe from the ordinary, the highest percent, it won't necessarily give you any irritation. Basically, little to no irritation. Maybe at the highest level that the ordinary sells it. All right, so that is Granactive Retinoid, and there are other forms of retinol that are products like retinol that are more gentle on the skin or gentler on the skin, and they give you the same results that retinol or retinoid would give you, a retinoid or vitamin A ingredient would give you. And these ingredients are like bakuchiol. So it's a kind, it works like retinoid or vitamin A, works the same way, but it is plant-based and it's natural, and it is less irritating on the skin, especially for various people with various skin condition and skin types. But anyway, that's not the focus for today. We'll save that for another video. But anyway, as I said before, Granactive Retinoid, when it is applied to the skin, it automatically turns into retinoic acid, and retinoic acid is the cell modifying ingredients that will actually change your DNA and so forth. All right, change your biological structure. When I say change your biological structure, your skin structure, it means that when retinoic acid reaches the cell, the nucleus, the cell, the cell like the egg yolk. In the middle there's a cell, and in that cell there's your DNA. And the DNA has, when you are born, it has how old you are, it has everything about you, your name. Yes, it joke, but the DNA has everything about you. So it has everything about Jody. All right, so in my DNA knows that Jody is actually 30 years old. So because my DNA knows that I am 30 years old, my DNA is basically saying, well, she's getting older, so the aging process should start. So it means that the cell turnover ratio, the rate, is going to be reduced. So that's what my DNA is basically saying. So okay, it's now time to reduce or slow down the cell turnover rate. It's time now for her to start seeing a little sign of aging and so forth. All right, so my skin is not exfoliating naturally the way it usually exfoliates, because my DNA knows what is happening, because it knows me. You know what I'm saying? So when we actually apply retinoic acid to our skin, it's actually modifying the cell DNA. So it's actually tricking the cell DNA. So it's basically telling the cells that, oh no, she's not 30, Jody is 15. So you know what that means? If you try to confuse the cell and the DNA and the biological structure of the skin, you confuse it. Retinoic acid will confuse it and tell it, oh, she is not 30, she's 15. So that means it's going to produce more cells, and my cell turnover rate, the cell turnover rate is going to behave as if I am 15. I am still fresh, I'm still young. So that is the reason why my skin starts to produce more collagen, it has more elastin, and then it's going to look firm and young, because the retinoic acid is confusing my cell DNA, my biological structure, the biological structure of my skin. So this is the reason why when people use retinoic acid on their skin, it actually changes how their skin look. Their skin looks a little bit more plump, young, and fresh. All right, so that's everything you need to know about vitamin A, aka retinoid, aka tretinoin, aka retinol, or Granactive Retinoid, basically. And as I said before, in a nutshell, vitamin A or retinoid is basically a form or a chemical from chemical form of vitamin A. And then retinoid, when it is received by the cell, it is received as retinoic acid. Tretinoin is actually retinoic acid. So when it is received to the skin, it automatically transforms the skin, because the cell receives the retinoic acid and it starts to do the DNA modification. The modification process actually starts immediately, and it's very high potency. It's a very high potency ingredient. All right, and there's also a over-the-counter version of retinoid. It's called retinol, but when retinol is applied to the skin, it needs to go through a conversion rate. It is a weaker form of retinoid, so it's not like tretinoin. And when it is applied to the skin, as I said before, it needs to be converted. And when it's being converted, when it is stored into the skin, converted, then you know you're not going to get the same strength that it is at when you apply it. It's going to be converted, so it's going to be weakened a bit, and then it turns into retinoic acid, and then it can have the cell modification or modifying abilities. All right, but there's something new now. It's called Granactive Retinoid. Granactive Retinoid is not as irritating as retinol or even tretinoin. Of course, tretinoin is very, very irritating. It is not irritating at all. When it is applied to the skin, it is not converted. It is automatically received as retinoic acid. All right, so it is more effective, or scientists have said, dermatologists, they say that it is more effective because it's not going through any conversion, it is not going through any of that, and then immediately it can reach the cell and it can turn into retinoic acid. It can modify the cells, it can modify your biological structure, it can increase collagen, it can increase elastin, and then, you know, we are trying to age gracefully, or the anti-aging process actually starts. All right, so that is it for retinol. I know that it's a mouthful, but this is just a little summary, so if you want to really know. But anyway, today I am going to recommend a few affordable retinoids that you can actually apply to your skin if you really want to fight against aging, wherever, whether it's because you have hyperpigmentation, whether it's because you have acne, whether it's because you have various forms of skin conditions that would make you look older. Retinol is actually, or retinoids are actually king for that. Like no other ingredient work as good as this ingredient. All right, and I'm not going to give you any prescription based retinol because I don't know, I'm not a doctor, I can't prescribe any. But if you go to your doctor and you have your skin conditions, you can ask them about it. Ask them about tretinoin if you have issues, but just know that it has a lot more risk. I'm going to recommend some over-the-counter retinoids to try in 2022. So the first one that I would recommend is the ordinary Granactive Retinoid. And as I said before, the reason why I'm recommending the ordinary or Granactive Retinoid per se is because when it is received in the skin, it is received as retinoic acid. So it doesn't go through any conversion, and also because the irritations are less. And yes, as I was saying, for people with dark skin, we don't need anything that is going to irritate the skin. Anything that doesn't have to irritate the skin is a yes. For me personally, I don't want anything to irritate my skin, to be honest, because I realize that my skin is very sensitive. Yeah, it likes to get irritated. Alright, so I would recommend the ordinary Granactive Retinoid 2% Emulsion. And the reason why I would recommend this, as I said before, because it is received into the skin as retinoic acid, so it works a little bit faster and less irritation. And this is just these retinoids that I'm recommending are novel retinoids. So that means they are basic retinoids. They're not prescription-based retinoid, but they can work the same way that prescription-based retinoids work, like tretinoin. They can work the same way that tretinoin work. They just work at a slower pace with less irritation. Alright, so this is Granactive Retinoid 2% in emulsion. Then they also have the Granactive Retinoid 2% in Squalane. So one in a little bit of oil and one in a little bit of moisturizing ingredient. And then they also have the high potency 5% Granactive Retinoid 5% in Squalane. So when I'm finished with my Granactive Retinoid 2%, I'm going to try the Granactive Retinoid 5% in Squalane. Though even the 5% in Squalane, even though it's like high potency ingredient, it is still not irritating. It's basically little to no irritation, and it is still working to modify the cells, and to firm the skin, to take care of pigmentation, to help the skin to turn over, to create new cells, and it just firms the cells, so the skin cells are a little bit more stronger and firmer. Yes, so that is basically what I would recommend from the ordinary. These are retinoids that I would recommend. And then you also have the Inky List Retinol. So the Inky List Retinol, they have in their ingredient, they have both Granactive Retinoid and retinol. You know what I'm saying? And I will talk more in detail about this ingredient, but it has Granactive Retinoid, so it is not going to be as irritating as retinol. But it has both ingredients, as I said before. It has a little bit of retinol and a little bit of Granactive Retinoid. And then it has multiple ingredients to keep the skin hydrated, so it is not irritating any at all. Okay, so when it comes to like retinoids, it's all about formulation. It's all about formulation. If it's a one ingredient like from the ordinary, then you know that it's sometimes a little bit more irritating. But the Granactive Retinoids from the ordinary, they have a lot of hydrating ingredients. They have a lot of hydrating ingredients, as I said before, so you don't really have to worry. Alright, so that's the second one that I would recommend from the Inky List, and I have used the Inky List Retinol before too. No irritation any at all. Alright, then the next one I would recommend is the ordinary retinol in Squalane. Remember I said that retinol, when it is applied to the skin, it has to go through a conversion. All right, so this one now, this single ingredient retinol, when it is applied to the skin, it has to be converted to retinoic acid. Granactive retinol, it doesn't have to be converted. When you apply it, immediately it turns into retinoic acid. But retinol has to be converted to retinoic acid. So this one is a 0.2%. This one is low irritation. So if you want to actually start with retinol and you don't want to go for the Granactive Retinoid, because Granactive Retinoid has low irritation, it is more expensive, and the products that have a higher, like the level of irritation is higher, they're actually cheaper. So that is how they do skincare for some reason. Like things that are more irritating, or the risk of irritation is, if the risk of irritation for a skincare product is higher, it is cheaper. And if the risk of irritation for a skincare product is low, it is more expensive. So it's their way of, selling you irritation, basically. And, so if you want, it's the opportunity cost. If you want something that is less irritating, you have to pay more money. But if you want something that may have a little irritation, then you can get it cheaper. But that is just, the technology of skincare. But anyway, I would also recommend the ordinary retinol in Squalane 0.2%. This is, as I said before, low irritations, so it is not going to literally irritate your skin, but it has low, moderate kind of irritation. Then we have the 0.5 now. This one is also like moderate irritations, but it is irritating. And as I said before, this one, retinol, is it needs to be converted before it turns into retinoic acid. All right, and then we also have the high strength retinol. This one is more irritating on the skin. So for example, people like me, I am afraid of using this because I don't want anything to irritate my skin. And for people in general, it is a little bit more irritating on the skin. But as I said before, with retinol, they need to be converted before they turn into retinoic acid. And sometimes during the conversion, your skin becomes more irritated. Not because of the conversion, just because that's how the ingredient work. Retinoids actually will cause cell turnover and so forth. So if the cell is turning over, things are happening, you might see a little bit of irritation, redness, and so forth, because things are happening with the cells. All right, but as I said before, retinol needs to be converted. But don't let that discourage you from getting it. What I would say is, it is a little bit more irritating, like retinol. Okay, a little bit more irritating. All right, because just the nature, and it is cheaper actually. So this one, the retinol 0.2, 0.5, 0.5, 1%, they're actually cheaper on the Ordinary's website. They're cheaper than the Granactive Retinoids. The Granactive Retinoids are like $4 more expensive. Okay, so maybe the retinol 0.2% is like maybe $5, the 0.5 maybe $6, and the 1% is like $8. But the Granactive Retinoid 2% is like $12. The 2% in Squalane, I think, is like $14, $12 or $14, and then the one in the 5% one, Granactive Retinoid, I think that is $17, $15, I don't quite remember, $16. Yeah, so the Granactive Retinoids are a little bit more expensive, but the retinol are a little bit more cheaper, and they work in the same way. They still are going to be received into the skin as retinoic acid, just with a little more irritation than Granactive Retinoid. All right, anyway, let's move right along. Then we also have this one, is called Life Flow Advanced Revitalizing Cream Retinol 1%. So this is a moisturizing hydrating cream, and based on the reviews, it has like 4 out of 5 stars on Amazon, and a lot of people here in Asia, they use this one, and I've seen someone showing their skin before and after and how it really firms the skin. And it's a hydrating ingredient, so it's supposed to work over a good period of time. All right, so then we have number 6 is the Cerave Skin Renewing Retinol Serum. So this one, the retinol serum from Cerave, it has retinol. So retinol needs to be converted and so forth. But with this, the Skin Renewing Retinol Serum, Cerave, they're always trying to protect your skin barrier. They always have their niacinamide. They always have their ceramides and a lot of hydrating ingredients. So while retinol is an irritating ingredient and sometimes can irritate your skin, the formulation is what you have to really think about. Like with Cerave, they're always formulating their products to work. Formulating their products to work not only effectively in terms of when you see results, but also work on your skin in a gentle way, so your skin is not like irritated per se. All right, so I would recommend that retinol serum. That's affordable too. And then we have the Cerave Retinol Resurfacing Serum. So this one basically encourages the skin to over a good amount of time, it encourages the skin cells to renew themselves, to, what should I say? It encourages the skin cells to resurface, to renew, to reproduce. You know what I'm saying? Turn over. Yeah, encourages the skin cells to turn over a little bit faster and so forth. And you know that if it's turning over a little bit faster, then your skin is going to be prone to irritations, redness, and so forth. But with Cerave's formulation, they formulate with a lot of hydrating ingredients that will protect your skin even if you get a little irritation from the ingredient itself. So you don't necessarily have to worry. So these will work. All right, so that's what I would recommend. The last one I would recommend is going to be very, very irritating on the skin. I think this is the most potent form of retinoid that is sold over the counter. This one now is for people who have excessive extreme acne and you can't find a way to deal with it with gentle alternatives. I would recommend the Adapulene Gel. And this one is for, as I said before, people with acne. This is 0.1. I think this is the strongest form of retinoid sold over the counter. So I would recommend this if you have extreme hyperpigmentation, extreme texture, extreme acne prone skin, and you can't find a way how to get that fixed or corrected. But as I said before, with this kind of retinoid, it's going to be very irritating on the skin. All right, so if you're not ready to actually start peeling, to get dry skin, to get all of the things that comes with using this age defying ingredient, then stay away. All right, but just know that this one is going to be highly irritating, and if you don't like wearing sunscreen, don't even think about retinoids, Granactive Retinoid, Retinol. Don't think about it if you don't like wearing sunscreen, because with these ingredients you have to wear sunscreen because your skin is going to be exposed or sensitive to the sun. All right, but these are just a few affordable options you can try out if you want to start getting into retinoids or retinols or Granactive Retinoids or whatever. All of them are actually considered vitamin A. If you want to get into retinoids, then you can try these out. And I would recommend personally, if you're just starting with retinoids, I would recommend ordinary Granactive Retinoid 2% in emulsion. Or the ordinary retinol 0.2%, or the Inkilis retinol. Those are the three that I would recommend for people who are just starting out and you don't have a lot of money. Alright, but these are my recommendations for retinol. I'm currently using retinols in my skincare, and I think they will have an effect over a longer period of time. I will see a lot more, difference with my skin over a longer period of time. Over consistent use, I will see result. I know that the process is starting because I just started using, but over gradually using it, then I know that my skin is going to become better, and I can see that my skin has been improved, definitely, because I have been using my glycolic acid toner, and my glycolic acid toner works exactly like on the surface of the skin, though on the surface area of the skin it helps to exfoliate, so naturally my skin is going to look better. But I need to actually take care of my skin like differently in terms of like for collagen, for elastin over a period of time, because glycolic acid alone won't help with that collagen, producing collagen and elastin. You know what I'm saying? So I need something else, which is the king of all kings and lords of our lords when it comes to skincare. Okay, yeah, God is the king of all kings and lord of all lords. So if you want to look young and fresh, you need to try God. He beautifies the meek with salvation. Praise the Lord Jesus. I'm a Christian, just so you know. But anyway, these are my affordable options. I hope this video was informative, helpful. I hope you learned something, and I know that it was a lot, but yeah. All right, so see you in the next one. Bye bye.